Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. The 9 to 5 day is done, so let's get into making some comics. Tonight I'm going to be working on page 7 of my latest short story called The Slip Road, which is part of my Greywater Untold anthology series. On this page, my main character, Heather, is walking away from a confrontation she's had with a police officer at the top of a traffic jam where there's been a crash. And she spots a slip road off the main motorway and decides she's going to drive up the hard shoulder and get off the main road that way. And she thinks she's made a clever decision, but as the rest of the story unfolds, she'll wish she had never taken that road. Here I'm just using a blue pencil, any old blue pencil, for laying out my compositions. I just do this out of habit. Why blue? I don't know. Sometimes I use red. I just like to lightly lay out my compositions first so that I can make sure I'm happy with the size of things and the distance and the perspective and all of that kind of stuff. And even with all that, I still sometimes go back and make corrections afterwards. After this, I go in with a 2B pencil just to get some of the basic line work down. And I'm also using a 6B pencil when I want to go in and do some shadows. I'm not really doing too many of those at this stage, but I might just mark out where I want them to go so I know what I want to do when it comes to inking. My sketches can be a little scratchy at times. The lines can be a little all over the place, and that's okay. Sometimes it's about finding the shape and finding where things go. It's not about being perfect at this stage, but I am making a lot of my decisions in this stage, as I talked about in my previous video. So when it comes to the inking stage, I'll have much more confident lines because I'll know exactly where to put them. While I was drawing this page, I realized I had a little too much space at the bottom of the page, even though I had thumbnailed it out. So I decided to move the first panel from page 8 to be the last panel on page 7, which I actually think works out better because it ends up being a complete finished scene now, and I can begin page 8 as a brand new scene. So don't be afraid to deviate from your plans even as you're drawing, because sometimes that's where the best discoveries come from. And just to be transparent, no, I did not finish this entire page in one evening. As some of you know, if you follow me, I have my full-time job during the day, so I have a little bit of time in the evening to work on my comics, and sometimes that means just doing a panel. So in actual fact, this page was done over more likely 2 or 3 nights. So if you're in a similar situation, don't feel bad. That's how it gets done. Sometimes small and often is much more impactful anyway. And that's one more page down. I'm a third of the way through this story now. But if you'd like to read my previous story, Parasomnia, you can find it on my Instagram page at Andrew Murray Draws, where it's split into 2 parts. And if you'd like to follow along and see this comic come to life, as well as future projects, please feel free to like and subscribe. I'd be delighted to have you here. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.